that I had some sleepless nights. We were in communication with the city, the police department, and our state police every day. Our office was. Obviously, there were things that we were learning that were being held a pretty tight hold. But as we've gone past it, I really think the fact that the Moscow City Police, when they reached out and asked for our state police to come in, their skill set, their laboratory capacity, this is absolute tragedy. But that was an example of how I think public safety and law enforcement ought to work in the future. We pray and hope that nothing even remotely close to this ever happens again, because the city of Moscow was just overwhelmed. And, there was a lot of national media there doing some, in my mind, shoddy work there, trying to stir things up. And they got their feet under them, and I was proud of them. And as I said, we sure want justice to get metered out.
Have you had an opportunity to talk with the parents?
Yes, I did. I went up there for the memorial service and had a brief conversation with them. That memorial service, listen to those parents, it was the most selfless, touching comments, things that are important to all of us. That precious time we have with our family and friends, to spend that. I could not believe how the value and the depth and the sincerity of their comments there, and it was really good for the community.
Yeah, we were covering it live, of course, and I mean, it definitely touched me. Just hearing from the parents was so powerful. The state allocated the $1 million, or you directed it to be. Is that an ongoing thing? Will there be more of that kind of support?
Well, as I said, we hope this never happens again. But
I mean, for this particular case.
Well,
yeah.
but we do that now. Mm-hmm. If a community has a very significant, complicated law enforcement issue, it takes a lot of detectives, lab work. We do that all the time. So it was kind of a allocation, whether it was a supplemental for Idaho State Police afterwards, or whether we did it proactively at that point in time. Right now, we're getting ready to build a new lab here in Boise, a bigger lab. We expanded capacity in Pocatello, and this kind of goes with our Esto Perpetua. We got to have more lab capacity and more testing for DNA analysis, but particularly for testing on some of these pharmaceuticals.
Let's switch over now to the policy priorities, that sort of thing. Medicaid funding is up for review 5 years after voters approved the Medicaid expansion initiative. Big topic in the legislature right now. We're hearing that costs for the state's proportion of this are going up. What do you think needs to happen?
Well, part of the issue was the federal government said you can't do some of the things that we wanted to do, some of the cost containment. Those restrictions are going off. The department and Dave at the department has a good plan that we're going to implement as soon as those federal restrictions go off, because for the new enrollees, the federal government provides $9 for every dollar we provide, but that we still want that to be a more efficient program, and we don't want people on Medicaid. We want them on private insurance, we want them on our exchange, we want them on other programs, because Medicaid is really a last resort provider.
Okay, as we talked about education, I remember interviewing you during the first campaign for governor out at the ranch, and that's what you kept saying: education, education, education. Once again, in your address, it was the top thing there. Why is that such a focus for you still now? We've seen a lot of money be put in there, and you're proposing a lot more for that effort.
Well, I mean, if you're concerned about our future, the economic prosperity for all of us, little alone for our children, education, the world just gets more and more and more complicated and more technical. And the days of walking out of high school and being able to get a good career are just very, very limited. We've got to have more career technical, we've got to have more degrees, we've got to have more education, and we have to have a great K-12 system. our literacy initiative that we've done the last 4 years is now, we're starting to see the results of that. Obviously, kids being out of school during COVID kind of slowed it down, but we're making great progress there. West Ada and the Boise School District are two of the school districts in the state with the biggest advancement in literacy. And if the state's going to spend half their money on education, these kids ought to be able to read.
And one of the new proposals is the $8,500 Launch Idaho scholarships, one-time scholarships, I believe, for qualifying Idaho high school seniors. Do you think that will help push up the number of students that go on, so to speak?
Absolutely. I was with some teachers last week, and we were talking, maybe it was this week, we were talking about it, and I said, do you think having these kids that wouldn't have had resources, their parents didn't have money, do you think having that program there will make them work harder the last 3 or 4 years of school so they're prepared to go on? And those teachers said, absolutely. It'll make a difference. It'll make a difference about how effective our K-12 system is. And then I was with a group of manufacturers yesterday, and they are really excited about it because the skills they need for modern manufacturing are just way different than they were in the past. I mean, it's gonna continue to create economic prosperity all over the state.
How badly do those folks you're talking to need workers?
Well, it's the biggest issue in Idaho. You go and talk to any business, and of course our healthcare, that's our number one need right now, is healthcare. But our ability to continue higher incomes, higher wages is dependent upon the skill set of our employees.
And also you're proposing substantial pay raises for teachers. How badly is that needed? How much do you hope that the legislature agrees?
Well, it does two things, retention of our best teachers and recruitment of new teachers. Even though I stated we're going to be in the top 10 in the nation, we're still, Oregon, Washington, Montana, Wyoming, we're a little higher than Utah. We need to do that because so much of our population lives around the edge of the state, and they can go to Oregon or Washington, Wyoming. So to be competitive, we have to do that. And I want to send a signal to our best and brightest high school kids that it's a noble profession in education, and they should sign up and be educators.
One of the big issues that we're already hearing coming up in the State House is about school choice. You know, programs that one piece of legislation that's proposed right now would create kind of a scholarship, but part of that could be used for a student to go to a private school, public tax money being used to go to the parents to send their kids to private school. Just again, Governor, where do you stand on the issue of vouchers, let's call it that?
Well, I mean, I've got a long record of being for charter schools in Idaho. And in fact, a lot of the national ranking has education choice in Idaho is one of the highest availability of choice. Go to a different school, go to a magnet school, go to a charter school, private school, homeschoolers. We've got empowering parents grants for homeschoolers. But kind of my line on this, if we start something that's going to be significantly detrimental to the long-term funding of education, then I've got an issue with it. But we'll have discussions about it.
Do you think it's constitutional?
Well, there's a constitutional issue, but there's been some other court cases. To me, education needs to be accountable, and it needs to be transparent. And we work, you know, you elect your local school board. They're the ones that make the determination. People know how the money's being spent. I think the transparency of our current system, and it's not perfect, and we need to continue to work on it, but we sure shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. And rural Idaho, they just don't have much choices in rural Idaho. In the more densely populated areas, there could be new schools, but there's already quite a bit of choice there because most of the charters are in the areas that are more densely populated.
Governor, thank you. We're going to take a quick break right now, and I'll be back with more of the top priorities and big issues with Governor Brad Lewin.
All I do is Dear 2029, we look forward to seeing you. After our 160-point quality assurance inspection, we'll be Toyota certified used vehicles with 7-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranties. Not to honk our own horns, but the best new cars make the best used cars. Yours, Toyota.
Get 4.99% APR for up to 60 months on a Toyota certified used Camry, Corolla, or RAV4. Find yours at toyotacertified.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Has your cable TV lost its spark? Do you suffer from the buffer? You deserve reliable TV without the hassle and the frustration. A-Plus Satellite is your premier local dish retailer, serving the Treasure Valley with reliable TV and real customer service for over 15 years. If you have Sparklight TV, switching to dish with A-Plus Satellite could save you over $700 a year. Stop in for a face-to-face with A-Plus Satellite at Fairview and Eagle, behind Krispy Kreme.
There's nothing like hitting the waves.
There's nothing like volunteering, but my moderate to severe eczema can make it hard.
Now, I'm staying ahead of it.
Dupixent helps heal your skin from within, so you can have clearer skin and noticeably less itch. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about Dupixent.
And welcome back to Viewpoint. Today we're focusing on Governor Brad Little's Idaho First plan that he rolled out in his recent State of the State address. And the governor is my guest today. Again, Governor, thank you for being here. You requested $120 million for property tax relief, but the state doesn't collect property taxes. So how would you like that money to be used to help people with their property tax?
Well, it's very, very complicated because it's different in an area taxing district where it's all residential, where it's high-end residential, where it's apartments, where there's commercial, where there's ag property. So the solution envisioned by a legislator in one district would be different. And that's why I said here, to make all our budgets balance, I do want to give some money back to the taxpayers. I know property tax is very concerning to many, many people in the state of Idaho. Here's $120 million. I didn't say good luck, but it's always challenging because, you know, half a dozen legislators from like districts will get together and say, here's the solution. Really, in property tax, there's only two things you can do. You can cut spending or you can shift it to somebody else, either another taxpayer or your income and sales tax. And that's what this $120 million is. It comes out of the general fund, so it's income and sales tax. There's some good ideas out there. We took $25 million off of everybody's taxes in the state.
25,000.
25 million.
Oh, okay.
By picking up public defense a few years ago. So if there's things that apply to everybody, that would kind of be my preference. Then it's fair to everybody. You take people's sales and income tax and relieve their property taxes elsewhere. Values are coming down, so next year your assessment is going to be different than it was last year. A lot of people obviously were very concerned about their increased assessment, but all the money we put into sewer, drinking water, roads, and schools, whether it be supplemental levies or insurance, is all property tax relief because districts are having supplementals to have better insurance.
So you like to see this money kind of go to the school districts basically to help them pay down bonds perhaps?
That would be one of the solutions, but not every district has a bond. Not every district needs a bond. Most do, and particularly here in the Treasure Valley where it's growing really fast, that's common among all the school districts. But there's districts that are literally building new schools with what we call bond levy equalization and their other without floating a bond. Now that's a very small part of them, but I look forward to a good debate and working with the legislature on it. But because properties and taxing districts are so different, what we've been doing is making money available for bridges. We'll have 2/3 of all the deficient bridges done if they adopt our plan this year. And that would be on your property taxes in many instances. So we're doing a lot in the property tax area, but it doesn't say property tax. But if we're taking care of water, sewer, and roads, it's less property tax.
Got it. We talked about the teacher raises. You've also proposed a 10% raise for state troopers, which would be about $6,000 on average. Why is that so needed right now, in your opinion?
Well, public safety is always, whether it's the fentanyl crisis, whether it's all the other challenges, and it's also our corrections. It's just the right thing to do because how challenging their job is. Mm-hmm. You got to remember that our crime rate in Idaho is one of the lowest in the nation. Both violent crime and property crime are going down because of the good work our state troopers, sheriff, and police do. We should be very pleased, and that's part of the reason lots of people are moving to Idaho.
Yeah, are you? Is it also partially like competition with other in-state agencies and out-of-state agencies?
That's always the case because City of Boise, Ada County, there's a lot of municipalities that pay more than we do, and we just had to do it to be competitive, given the challenges that they have in this day and age.
You mentioned fentanyl. First of all, why are you so concerned about fentanyl in Idaho?
Well, it's first off, it was just about a year ago when we started working on that, and the magnitude of the problem. I was kind of aware of it, but just about a year ago, we just see it continue to increase. The number of deaths have doubled, and I always tell people that 1/100th of this business card is a lethal dose of fentanyl. People don't understand how abundant it is, how cheap it is, and how lethal it is. And so we just started our awareness program, I think 3 weeks ago, fentanyltakesall.org. You can go to that website and see it. You'll see, whether it be on social media or traditional media, we're trying to get the message out. Mm-hmm. We really want parents and kids to know that if somebody tries to sell them a pill on the street, and it doesn't matter, that there's a high chance that there could be a lethal dose of fentanyl in it.
Is there also anything in your plan on the interdiction side of it and law enforcement?
We're doing interdiction law enforcement. We sent troopers down to the border year before last. We're going to send them again this year, so we kind of know the tricks of the trade for these bad guys that are bringing fentanyl in. We're going to put in a new interdiction team at the state police to kind of be a hit team to go out where we think there's a problem and to help our sheriffs and police. And then we started a program last year that I'm pretty excited about, that law enforcement came to us, and that first-time offender, before they get a real addiction problem, let's do a diversion before they get prosecuted. Let's try and keep them out of the jail system, out of the prison system. What can we do on a first-time basis to convince them that that is really a bad idea? Give them some counseling and help them to try and keep them from getting into the system. After they're in the system, then we've got our recovery centers and our crisis centers, and so we've really kind of got a multi-level, stop it from coming in, make people aware of it, and then try and help these people that have an addiction problem.
Governor, we need to take one more quick break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up our conversation with Governor Brad Little. Stay tuned.
I got a feeling, can't make me wait. You know what thrills me.
It's your journey. Own every mile in an available H-Track all-wheel drive Hyundai SUV. Get 2.9% APR for 60 months or up to $750 bonus cash on the Tucson. See your Bronco Motors Hyundai dealer.
It's the final days of the epic sell-off at Furniture Row, and when we say it's epic, we mean epic. Shop today and find everything on sale. That means epic savings on sofas, sectionals, and accent chairs, epic markdowns on dining groups, tables, and bar stools, epic deals on bed sets, dressers, mattresses, and adjustable bases. Plus, get 3 years no-interest financing. Epic styles, epic selection, all with epic savings. Find them today at Furniture Row, but hurry, sale ends soon.
At Crutchfield, we sell stuff that makes life fun, and we've been doing it differently since 1974.
Whether you're looking to get better sound in your car or the latest TV to enjoy your favorite movies,
we're all about giving you the info and guidance you need to buy the right gear for you.
We offer free lifetime tech support on everything we sell. We mean everything, and we mean lifetime.
Check us out at crutchfield.com to experience a totally different way to shop electronics online.
Is your credit score getting in the way of the things you want to do? Personal loans through NetCredit offer fast and flexible lending. Borrow up to $10,000 and choose repayment terms that work for you. You may even be able to build your credit history as you repay. NetCredit, a more personal loan.
These are my new kittens. Of course, I want to give them the healthiest life possible, which is why I choose Pretty Litter, because it's tough on odor, helps keep tabs on their health by changing color. Pretty Litter is also low dust. Try it today. Go to prettylitter.com.
And welcome back. My guest again today is Idaho Governor Brad Little. Governor, in your State of the State address, you mentioned economic volatility on the horizon. Idaho just had a record $1.5, $1.6 billion budget surplus last year. Are you expecting things to take a downturn in the state?
I think everybody is, but I state often that yes, the economy is probably going to slow down. And yes, there'll be, a lot of the national forecasts that there'll be a recession this year, but nobody disagrees with my assertion that if it gets bad, it's going to be better than Idaho than anywhere else. We've paid off our debt. We've got rainy day funds. We're taking care of unmet maintenance. We're all set up. We've lowered our tax rate to where there's the least amount of resistance for people to provide better jobs. We've done all those things besides back-to-back rebates and back-to-back decreases in taxes. So we believe we're about as prepared as we can be, and we're forecasting surpluses. But they could go away if the economy, something happened internationally or nationally, but we're still going to be in pretty good shape in Idaho.
And I believe you're proposing putting a little bit more money into the rainy day funds just in case as well, right? A large chunk of your first term was dominated by COVID, the coronavirus pandemic, and all of the issues that surrounded that. You're just right now in the first few weeks of your second term. I guess, how does it feel to be entering your second term after such a challenging?
Well, I don't need COVID again, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But, there's some things, obviously the healthcare industry, there were nurses that left the profession just on burnout. But we always had a shortage of medical professionals, doctors and nurses. So that's our in-demand careers. We know that's going to be a big priority. So the healthcare industry and education, and then just helping businesses, we're the least regulated state in the nation. That is a great message to businesses that there's going to be the least amount of friction on them paying higher wages, having higher incomes, and we just want to see that continue into the future.
Governor, I want to just thank you for your time today. I do appreciate it, and getting the big overview of what your hopes are for the priorities this year.
Thanks, Doug.
We'll see what goes through now.
Yeah, we will.
All right, sir, thank you very much. And that is all of our time for this week's Viewpoint. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Doug Petcash. I'll see you tonight on the news at 5 and 10, and then right back here next Sunday morning for another Viewpoint, when my guest will be the new Superintendent of Public Instruction, Debbie Critchfield. Have a great day.